What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the fourth episode of The Bats Cave, this pop culture podcast where I, your host, Alex Bats, talk about basically whatever's on my mind the last week, whatever I've been watching, reading, writing about, any news that's broke, things like that. I normally will say that I have at least one Batman-related thing to talk about, because Batman obviously kind of is my go-to, is my favorite. I gotta start this off by saying, man, how much do allergies suck? If I sound nasally, it's because of my allergies. The past week or so, my allergies have just been absolutely killer. They've sucked. Today's been especially terrible. It's gonna be a miracle if I manage to get through this next hour or so without sneezing. So yeah, there's that. Also, warnings. Not really a warning, but just if there's a couple second silence for you audio listeners, I'm probably just taking a drink of water because I get really parched while doing this hour of talking. So yeah, just if you hear a couple seconds of no audio, that's probably why. Don't worry, your headphones didn't break. The internet didn't randomly stop. Probably, maybe it did. But yeah, so there's that. I guess before I get into the main topic of this week, which you will definitely know by the title, is going to be about the Rise of Skywalker trailer. Oh man, I have some thoughts on that. But before I get into that, quick box office update for Joker. So I haven't checked it today, but as of the end of the weekend, Joker was at 737 million worldwide, which is insane. That's so much more than I could have imagined that it would make, honestly. It's basically 900 million is pretty much a lock for this movie, which is insane. No R-rated movie has made 800 million in general. Deadpool 2 has the record right now at 785 million, with the first Deadpool being just underneath it at 783 million. And so Joker's easily going to pass those. It's going to be the first R-rated movie to ever make over $800 million, not adjusted for inflation. And so that's crazy in itself. But the fact that it's pretty much guaranteed to hit 900 million, which is over 100 million more than any R-rated movie has ever made, is just bonkers. I keep on saying it's insane, but I don't know how else to describe that. That's so wild that this movie has done as well as it had. It had a $58 million budget. They have made over $700 million. Basically all of the box office for this movie is profit. I saw the Forbes article actually this past weekend that was talking about it. The box office update was saying that after this past weekend, it became one of the most profitable comic book movies of all time. The only ones that beat it, I think, are the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, because that had a $13 million budget or so, and it made 300 million or something. And then The Mask with Jim Carrey was also a similar situation. I can't remember the exact numbers for those, but they're somewhere around there. So those are just that's a different scale, just because those budgets were so low, and the amount of money they made. But just the if you just look at the budget to box office ratio for Joker, it's insanity. It's made so much, and it's done it without China too. This movie has not released in China. I don't know if it will. I wouldn't be surprised if WB is makes a push for it to release in China, but then they also don't need it. It's interesting. I had some people on Twitter engaging with me about it and whatnot, and China's system for censorship, I guess, for movies is really specific. It's not, if a movie's rated R, it's automatically not allowed to be shown in China, because a movie can be rated R for language, and that might not be something that might not restrict it from being shown in China. They have a very rigorous process that they go through, where a lot of the times producers will actually work directly with, I think it's a board that they have, where they'll watch a film and they'll give it a rating, and if it's at too low of a number, then the producers will go through and make edits and change things, and then present the movie again, and then they'll go from there and kind of do this process. But that's normally done while a studio is making a movie, because they want to be able to secure that Chinese release. Obviously, WB didn't give a fuck about that with Joker, because it has such a small budget anyways, and they were confident they would make enough money without China to where didn't really matter, which they were 100% right about. This movie's made so much money. Um, but so I think it's plausible that it could get a Chinese release, just because the violence in it, while is definitely I don't even know if brutal is the right word. I mean, it kind of is brutal. It's very visceral, I guess. Like the violence that you see in it is real. I guess is maybe the best way to describe it. But it's not the violent. It's not like Saw. Like there's not just a lot of over the top gore and violence for the sake of violence. Like it's just very impactful in the moments when you do get it. But so I feel I'm not completely educated in this regard, but I think that movies with the worst violence have been shown like in theaters in China and been approved to screen there. So I don't know if violence would necessarily take it out of the race. It doesn't have any physical nudity in it. There are pornographic images very quickly in some cuts, which I feel like you could maybe CGI out or like get rid of if you were WB and you really, really wanted that Chinese release. And then besides that, the language is really the only thing. And so the language and themes, I guess, would be probably the two biggest things in my mind that would be iffy about a Chinese release, I guess. But so I don't know. That's kind of if they do make a push for it to get a Chinese release, though, and if they do secure a Chinese release, this movie easily crosses $1 billion, which that's that would just be bonkers. Like a Joker solo movie crossing $1 billion. Like it's already made way more than Justice League had, which is hilarious to me, because Justice League sucks. I hate that movie so much. That's a whole other podcast topic at some point in the future. But yeah, just the fact that Joker's made as much as it had, like 900 million is pretty much a lock without China. Which is just extremely impressive. I'm sure WB is beyond happy about that. I hope that this, I don't want to get too much into I've already talked about this with Joker. Go watch my Joker review if you haven't already for more thoughts on this and whatnot. But yeah, just a box office update. It's still crushing it. It made more than Maleficent did on Monday, which was yesterday at the time that I'm recording this. It made more than Maleficent at the box office in its third week, and Maleficent came out this past weekend, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it's still holding very, very strong, at least domestically, and internationally I'm pretty sure it's pulling even more. So yeah, Joker's doing phenomenally well at the box office. Watch it if you haven't. Definitely recommend it. But yeah, so that's a quick Joker box office update. I think that's the biggest like direct Batman tie that I have to talk about this week. Over the past few weeks, we've been getting a lot. I mean, over the past like week specifically, really, I think it's been a little over a week now, but we got a lot of information about Matt Reeves' Batman, including some pretty key casting. We know who's going to be playing Catwoman and the Riddler now. Zoe Kravitz and Paul Dano. I don't know how to say his last name. I should Google that. But I've had a couple people on Twitter ask me about doing an episode on Matt Reeves' Batman and talking about it, and I want to a lot. Trust me, I have so many things that I want to say about that movie, but right now I'm just waiting because I don't want to record an episode talking about it and then like 2 days later we get like Harvey Dent casting or Penguin casting or whatever. Like I know that there's gonna constantly be more information that we get about this movie until release at this point, but I want to at least wait until they start filming, because I feel like whenever they start filming would be a pretty good chance to do that. I don't know. I'll either do it right when they start filming or I'll wait until after we get a first look at the Batsuit. I don't know. Maybe I'll do one before, like right when they're starting filming, and then I can speculate about the Batsuit, and then I'll do one after we get a Batsuit revealed too. Talk about that a lot. I don't know. We'll see. But I hear you, people on Twitter, asking about extended thoughts about Matt Reeves' Batman, which I definitely yell about it enough on Twitter anyways. But I really want to do an episode about it. I'm just kind of waiting at this point because I don't want to do a whole episode and then have information come out like 2 days later that I wish that I could have included in that episode. So I'm just waiting at the time. Short thoughts for now. The casting is absolutely incredible. It's 10 out of 10. This movie is going to be so good. I'm so excited. My hype levels are way too high for as far away as this movie still is. It's kind of unreal. But yeah, so that episode is coming in the relatively near future. So I guess be on the lookout for that. But yeah, besides that, the main thing that I'm talking about this week is Star Wars, which, oh man, I have a lot of thoughts about Star Wars. So, if you don't know, if you don't follow me on my main account on Twitter, you might not know. And even if you follow me on there, you might not know as much because I don't. I actually tweeted this yesterday whenever the trailer dropped that like I'll go a while without talking about Star Wars, kind of. But I need to make it abundantly clear that I'm complete Star Wars trash. Like I love besides Batman, Star Wars is probably my like next biggest love outside of comic books. Um, Star Wars is something. I mean, if you're watching the video, bad angle. But yeah, like if you're watching the video podcast, you can see I literally besides Batman, I have a Star Wars tattoo. Like that's the other tattoo that I have. Um, so yeah, I really Star Wars is so just everything about it appeals to me so much. Like I'm such a big sci-fi and fantasy really are super intriguing to me and always have been. I'll have to do an episode on fantasy stuff at some point, but Star Wars just kind of like I'm too young to have grown up when the original trilogy was actually releasing. I didn't see that, but I did technically still grow up with the original trilogy. You know, like those were the first Star Wars movies that I watched whenever I was really young, and then the prequel trilogy I saw those come out. I actually didn't get to see any of them in theaters. It's kind of a funny story. God, I don't remember I can't remember the years that any of these released. I should have Googled them beforehand, but I didn't. Oh well. But for episode 3, it was funny because at the time I actually was like, my dad had wanted me to learn how to ride a bike, and I, for whatever reason, was being really stubborn about it and just did not want to. I was like, no, I don't want to. I guess I was kind of scared at the time. I don't know. I was little. But my dad said that I couldn't watch episode 3 until I learned how to ride a bike. And so I didn't see episode 3 in theaters because I was like, no, I'm not learning how to ride this bike. And so yeah, I didn't see it, and then it ended up coming out on like DVD, and I still couldn't watch it for I don't know how long, but for a little bit, like after it came out, because I was like, no, I'm not learning how to ride a bike. But then eventually I was like, man, I really want to watch Star Wars, and so I did, and I learned how to ride a bike, and so that's when I got to watch episode 3. But yeah, besides that, like I don't remember the exact timeline of that, and then also there was these Star Wars books. I wish I could remember the name of the series, but there's a series, I don't remember the author either. But it was an Obi-Wan Kenobi series, I'm pretty sure, that was set like between episodes 3 and 4, I think. And they were these small, I mean, I guess they're young adult. I don't know if they were children. I feel like they were young adult books. I mean, I got them in the kids section technically of Borders, the bookstore. But they were like 100 or so pages thick probably, and there was like 8 or 9 of them in this like series. And I remember one time I had my dad take me up there, and I literally just grabbed like 7 of them, and then my dad was like, whoa, like that, because I mean I didn't think about it at the time, but, like that's a pretty decent amount of money just to like drop on some like books real quick. But yeah, I got like 6 or 7 of those books, and like I would just blow through them. Like I would just straight up read like one a day. They're just so good, and like Star Wars it's just such a fascinating world and universe to me. Like the Jedi and the Sith and everything about it really is just so like there's so many different narrative avenues that you can go down in different thematic just things to explore and characters to spend time with, and just it's got such a perfect mix of action, drama, like emotion, just relevant. Like it's so out of this world but also so relatable in so many different ways, and I think that resonated even like as a kid, and it's of course got that huge sense of wonder too. Like it's in a like a long time ago in a galaxy far far away. Like it immediately like pulls you into that universe, and makes you care. And then also just like how cool are lightsabers, you know, like what kid doesn't want to have like a lightsaber? I mean, I still want to have a lightsaber now, but like, you know, like what kid sees a lightsaber and like doesn't think that's the coolest thing ever, you know? And so that's obviously like one of the main draws. So like I read those books so much. I read I think they're just like titled like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and like I don't know if it was Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader, but there was these books that came out, and it was just like it just had their faces like on the hard covers for them. I got those books and like read those. And yeah, so I don't remember if those came before or after episode three. I don't know about that timeline, but like I just always remember since I was very young being like super into Star Wars. And then I remember with episode three and the DVD, I watched that DVD over and over and over again, and would watch the special features on that so many times. That I think, like I probably remember whenever I was little watching the special features on Revenge of the Sith, like that and Batman Begins are the two like special features like watches that I remember the most from being young. Like I would just watch the special features for that over and over again. It was just so fascinating to me, and it was just so cool seeing like how all of it was made. And then it was just a really cool cycle where I'd watch the special features, and that would make me want to watch the movie, and then watching the movie would make me want to watch the special features, and like I would just go back and forth, and I would just spend so much time doing that. And so yeah, I just from a young age, I remember just loving Star Wars so much, and that just never really went away. Like I always had just loved Star Wars, been super interested in it since then. Of course, we had this huge lull, I guess, this gap between the prequels and now the Disney Star Wars era. But between those two, we had, all of the Legends lore and things like that. And up until a few years ago, actually, probably post Disney acquisition, I hadn't really read a lot of, actually read a lot of Legends material. I had read up on it, like researched it and seen and like read things online about it. And so like I knew loosely a lot of the Legends canon and things like that. I knew about the Old Republic, of course, and things like that. But I didn't actually like firsthand read any of it. I remember loving the Force Unleashed video games, and I actually read the Force Unleashed companion book, the first one. I don't think I've read the second one. I just loved those. But yeah, Star Wars has just always been super prevalent to me. And then just the Disney trilogy. Like I remember when we like found out we were getting more Star Wars movies, and that was just insane to me. It was so crazy that was happening. And then just the Force Awakens really like it's so wild because like I've heard the like line a lot, like the Force Awakens is a new hope for a new generation, which I think it really is, because like there's so many obvious parallels that you can draw between A New Hope and the Force Awakens. Like there's a very obvious influence there, but I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Like, and I am sure that I'll get a lot of slack for this, but like I like the Force Awakens significantly more than I like A New Hope. Like I said earlier, like I wasn't alive when the original movies came out, so I don't have as strong of an emotional attachment with the original trilogy as people that are a little bit older than me. And so, like, I like them. I love them a lot. Of course, they're Star Wars. I mean, I can't not. But at the same time, like, I don't love them as much as a lot of people do. The reason I'm pulling up my list because I actually have a list on Letterboxd of my like Star Wars films ranked, and I definitely know it's gonna ruffle some feathers. But like, there's one movie in the original trilogy that makes my top 5, and like that's crazy. I know most people are like, "What? That's insane." But yeah, The Force Awakens. Like, I am a bigger fan of the sequel trilogy than any other Star Wars films. The sequel trilogy, really, just the Disney movies. Like, I love the Disney movies so much, and part of that is because like they're straight up from a filmmaking standpoint and a technical standpoint, they're so good. Like Star Wars has literally never looked, sounded, just production wise, it has never been better than it is right now. I feel like you cannot argue that. Like I think that that's something that even the people who don't like the narrative direction that some of these movies have gone, like you can't refute just how good it looks and sounds right now. And that's just part of the immediate draw for me. And then on top of that, just the fact that I also have really, really loved the sequel trilogy from a narrative perspective, really just compounds to make this, it's so great to me. And then also that added on with the fact that these are the first Star Wars movies I've experienced in the theater. And so like all of those factors just kind of mesh and meld together to just make it like, this is my Star Wars, I guess. Like I'm doing air quotes here, growing up now. Like I'm grown kind of. I'm 23. I'm not old, but like I'm not super young. Like I'm not like in my teen. I'm not a teenager, and I'm not like a kid. Like I'm not like growing up with these. But like they're I feel like I called these my Star Wars movies. Like I feel like I'm a little bit too young to say that the prequel trilogy are my Star Wars films. Like they kind of are. I could have seen them in theaters, but I didn't. Like I grew up with them, yeah, and like I definitely have memories watching them when I was little, but like I didn't there's not it's just not that same connection, I guess, that I feel with the sequel trilogy. I don't know. It's weird trying to explain it because I feel weird saying that like these are the Star Wars movies that I'm growing up with, but I don't know. Like they're the first ones that I've experienced in theaters, so they are to me, and so I really love them for that. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say my list real quick, which I'm planning on over the next couple weeks slash months rewatching all of the Star Wars movies. So I'll probably do an episode or a couple episodes that's talking specifically about the films because I don't want to talk about each film in this episode. It's not what this one is about. But yeah, just to ruffle some feathers because I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, how is this list even a thing? So my number one Star Wars movie is okay, so here's my list. I'll just go from 1 to 4, 8 to 10. So I have The Last Jedi at number 1, and then The Force Awakens and Rogue One I have at 2 and 3, and those two can honestly flip-flop for me. The Force Awakens I put ahead of Rogue One mainly just because of Kylo. I love Kylo so much. My cat is named Kylo, if you didn't know. And so he's my favorite Star Wars character, my favorite canon Star Wars character for sure. The only people that rival him are Darth Bane and Revan. They're not even, Bane's technically canon. That's a different conversation. But my favorite canon character is easily Kylo. And so that's kind of why The Force Awakens nudges out Rogue One, but like Rogue One is just it's so good, it's right there. So yeah, I have The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, Rogue One. Empire Strikes Back is at my number 4 spot because I mean it's Empire. Like that movie. Do I really need to talk about why that movie's as high up as it is? And then so after that, I'm looking at this list and I actually feel like I haven't edited this in a while, but on the list whenever I made it, I put Solo at number 5 and Revenge of the Sith at number 6. I would probably flip those around. I'd probably put Revenge of the Sith at number 5 and then Solo at number 6. But I don't know. I need to watch both of them again. I really have been dying to watch Solo again recently, so I'm excited to do that soon. But then after number 6, we have A New Hope and then Return of the Jedi, and then The Phantom Menace at 9, and then Attack of the Clones at number 10. I feel like most people can kind of agree with that number 9 and 10. Like I think there's some good, I'll even say great moments in Attack of the Clones, but overall, meh. I mean, I think the prequel trilogy gets it gets too much hate than it deserves, but like, I mean, they're definitely like bottom tier of the movies. I still really love them because they're Star Wars, but like, yeah. Phantom Menace though, the Duel of the Fates for like that alone makes it like fantastic. But yeah, that's my ranking. Feel free to leave a bunch of hate comments about it. I know it's very it's something, but yeah. So I mean, I guess if I'm gonna try to avoid talking about just every other Star Wars movie for so long, if this long-winded introduction has done anything, it's just to set up the fact that like I love the Star Wars universe and the movies so much. And yesterday we got the final trailer for the Rise of Skywalker, and yeah, I definitely cried a little bit. Like it's crazy that the saga it's gonna end. Like I don't know what to do with myself. It's I don't know. It's the end of the Skywalker Saga, which is something. I mean, like we knew this was coming. We knew whenever the Force Awakens started that they were doing, another trilogy, that it was going to be 7, 8, and 9. But it's just so crazy that we're here now. Like in less than 2 months I'll have seen, most of you listening probably, I don't know how, if you got your tickets for opening night or opening weekend or what, but within 2 months, The Rise of Skywalker will be out. It'll be in theaters. I'll have seen it. I'll have experienced the end of the Skywalker Saga. And I'm definitely not ready for that. It's it's gonna be something just in it's hard to put into words really. Like the I don't know, like I'm so torn on it because on the one hand you're like, oh man, I wish this could like go on forever, but then I'm also a very big proponent, and like one of the things that makes a like great story so great is the fact that it ends. You know, like if you can stick that ending, then that just makes it all the more perfect. And so that's what this is and is aiming to be, and is it's really trying to like wrap up the entire Skywalker saga that started in 77. Like that's so long, and it's something that I mean, like, while I was alive for most of my life, I didn't think that we would be seeing this like for the long, like we got the prequel trilogy and we were like, okay, that's it, I guess, you know. Like there was talk of maybe future Star Wars movies, but now we're like we're almost three, the sequel trilogy is almost done. Like we're getting it, it's happening. it's the third film is about to come out, the end of the saga, and it's aiming to wrap up everything that's come before it. Like the all of these films have been about the Skywalker lineage, like that's been the heart of them. And we're gonna get more Star Wars films after this. Of course, we're not gonna get a film for like 3 years after this, which that kind of hurts a little bit. We'll be getting like series and stuff on Disney Plus, which is good, but this is the end of the Skywalker story, which I mean is Star Wars. Like there's so much more to Star Wars than the Skywalkers, but like that's how it started. That's been the heart of all these films, and really like what's driven it, and just the fact that that's like coming to a close is surreal, honestly. It like I know this episode's not supposed to be about all the other trailers, but like just the D23 footage that they showed a couple months ago, like whenever it's just mashing together the first like minute and a half of it or whatever, is just showing all the different shots and clips from previous films, like from the original trilogy and then the prequels, and where we've gone in the sequels so far. And like that hits you. Like I mean it hit me. Like I remember seeing it in theater, like they played that trailer before, I think they played it before Joker the first time I saw it, and like that, I mean, just chills like everywhere. It's epic. It's this huge gigantic bit larger than life fantasy sci-fi, like it's like sci fantasy. It's just there's so much here, and there's so much story, there's so much history and lore and characters and time and just emotion and everything invested into all this. And the fact that we're watching the end of it now, like it's almost over, it's just insane. But I mean, I guess talking about the trailer specifically and the trailer itself, aside from all the emotional stuff that I very obviously have attached to this film and this series, just from what we've seen in the trailer, like this movie looks incredible. It's like part of it goes back to what I was saying earlier, and the fact that Star Wars has never looked better. I think that even the people who really dislike The Last Jedi, which I'm not one of those, I love The Last Jedi, but even the people who disliked it, I feel, can agree that it looks phenomenal. It's one of, if not the best looking Star Wars films. And I think that I feel like The Last Jedi and Rogue One, as of the films released, are the best looking Star Wars films. But I think that The Rise of Skywalker is going to take that crown. Like the first trailer that we saw, I was like, damn, like this movie like looks visually stunning. And then we saw some like more footage of it from D23, and we got the shot of like Kylo walking towards Rey on the like broken Death Star on whatever planet, the water planet. And I was like, damn, like that crane shot is so good. And I was like, man, this movie, like visually, I don't know how, like this might be it. And then, after seeing this last trailer, like the final trailer, I think that, yeah, visually this movie is going to take the cake for the best looking Star Wars film, which is just insane to me, because I remember when The Force Awakens came out, I was like, damn, like this movie looks so good. It just watching it, you're like, yeah, this is a feast for my eyes. And then like The Last Jedi came out, and I was like, holy shit, like this movie somehow looks even better. And then now this is coming out, and I'm like, how is this even possible? How can they possibly make this look better than what we've already seen? Like, and it's somehow doing that. I don't, my mind cannot comprehend that. Um, and so yeah, just from a pure visual standpoint, which I is one of the biggest proponents of films for me. I know that's like kind of seems like a no shit statement, like, oh yeah, you're like watching it, of course you want it to look good, but like good cinematography in a movie, like, oh, it's so crucial to me. And it just, if it has if a film has noteworthy cinematography, it gives it that extra step for me. And this one just looks like it's knocking that out of the park on all accounts. And so super excited about that. The score, we know Williams is doing the score again, and like, I mean, that's gonna be insane. um but yeah, besides just like the visuals, like what we've seen, like I don't even know what's going on in the story, really. Like, we know that Palpatine is coming back. We've heard his voice. We've sort of seen him in this latest trailer. He looks like I mean, we see his hood kind of from the side, and like he's moving forward in what I can only assume is this giant throne that's helping him move like towards Rey. And so the fact that he's coming back is wild. The way that he's coming back is something I'm very curious about. So the maybe, I guess, go-to way for this, because like Sith cheating death is something that's been in Star Wars lore, and like we know Darth Plagueis, like, who was Palpatine's master, um, and he actually name drops him in Revenge of the Sith. If you don't know, he talks about Plagueis the Wise. Um, Says that he like found a way to cheat death, and that's how Palpatine is like seducing Anakin in Episode 3. But so the Sith cheating death isn't a new concept, and it's actually something that's been built upon even more recently with Charles Soule, who is a fantastic writer. He wrote the most recent Darth Vader comic, and in that comic it explored I'm blanking on this Sith Lord's name. It's Mon something, I think. It might just be Mon. It starts with an M and an O. But he's the architect who actually helps design his I don't want to call it Force Ghost because it's not exactly the same thing. But his dark side spirit is what's tethered, for lack of a better word, to his mask, his Sith mask, and through that he's able to communicate and still be around as a spirit. And he actually is the one who helps Vader design Darth Vader's castle that we see on Mustafar in Rogue One and things like that. And so, but anyways, with this, we see that Sith are able to tie their life force to relics. And he actually, at one point later on in the arc, slight spoilers, I guess, is like he's given a physical form kind of to fight back, because of him being able to tether his life force to this relic. And so that I feel like would maybe be the go-to for like bringing Sidious back. Maybe he's done that. Maybe he's got his life force tied to, I mean, the Death Star is kind of a big thing to have your life force tied to, but like to something, and that's how he comes back. But then I also don't know about that because like I don't know, he looks more physical than what we saw of the other Sith Lord in the comic, so I don't know. But that would make the most sense as far as him coming back from the Sith side of things, because we know that the Sith don't exist in the same way that the Force Ghosts for the Jedi users do, like Yoda, like we saw with Yoda in The Last Jedi. Like they're not able to do that after they die. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how he comes back into play in this film. I will say it's something that was really, really cool that I actually saw on Twitter, because there's a shot that's obviously of Palpatine's throne, and it's this big like stone thing, and he's got these huge, I don't know, spikes. They're not really spikes. They're like, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know. If you've seen the trailer, you know what I'm talking about. The way that his throne like looks, apparently is based off of throne room concept art for Return of the Jedi from way back in like 81, I think, which is just a really, really cool touch. I think that's awesome to see. And so that was cool. but like besides that, I don't really know. Like obviously we know that Palpatine will be coming back, and we know that Rey is on a. But I mean, besides that, I don't really, I don't know what's going on in this movie. Like each trailer that we get just gives me with more like questions than answers. Kind of like they're the only answers that we get are shots that we can be like, oh yeah, that has to take place at the same time or place as this. Like there's the trailer, the shot from the very first trailer that we got where we see Kylo like igniting his light, like he's walking like quickly towards the camera and he ignites his lightsaber and it looks like it cuts through like snow or ice on the ground kind of, and like that shot I feel like it has to take place at the same, roughly the same time or the same place that the shot of Rey looking at Sidious walking forward is, because the ground looks the same and the lightning going on around looks the same, and I feel like that's at this ice planet wherever that we see this insane wide shot of TIE fighters flying towards it. It looks like it's a glacier above water, but I'm pretty sure it's just like that's just what the planet, I don't even know if it's a planet, but like the structure is. It looks like it just looks like a glacier, like with half of it underwater, but I don't think that's the case. Like I think that's just the full like thing, and so that's pretty wild. And I don't know, like that's, so like we know those shots go together. Like we know of course the like water shots, or the shots of the water planet where like Kylo and Rey fight. Like obviously those shots have to like link together. That sequence has to take place at the same time. Like we have the shot of a ship flying, or it's not even, I don't, it's kind of a ship like flying over some of those waves, and so we know that's at the same place, so that's kind of have to take place at the same time. But I don't know, besides that I'm not sure. Like as far as the timeline of this movie, like I would assume that the shots we see of Rey training in the forest on I don't know what planet, we can assume those take place at the beginning just because that would make the most sense, and then from there it maybe goes to the desert planet where we saw the shots of like Kylo coming at her with the TIE fighter or his interceptor, and so like maybe from the forest to there, and then I don't, like at this point I feel like the water planet fight between Rey and Kylo takes place earlier on in the film than what we would maybe be led to believe by the first couple trailers or even this trailer. Like that seems like a final fight type thing, but I don't know. I'm not convinced of that anymore. I feel like that takes place like around the midway point, because we get that, but then there's also the craziest shot in this trailer to me is the shot of Rey and Kylo, and they're both destroying this thing. We can't tell what it is exactly, like with their lightsabers, and I have no idea where they are or what that thing is. Like they're in this, it looks like the interior of a ship, but it's all white, and they're destroying this. It almost looks like a statue or a shrine or something. Rey has a dagger in her hand, which was pointed out by some people on Twitter, which there's a ton of speculation about what the dagger might be. And so, but I like that shot to me is so wild because one, it would appear that Rey and Kylo are working together, which is something that I feel like will definitely happen in this movie. Like I feel like they'll 100% work together to take down Palpatine by the end. But that, to me, like that shot is so perplexing to me because I'm like, when does this happen? Because the biggest thing that makes me question that is the fact that Kylo is wearing his helmet in that shot. And so Kylo's wearing his helmet there, but he's not wearing his helmet whenever him and Rey fight on the water planet. And so that leads me to believe that the water planet takes place before that, and then they go to leave and he puts his helmet back on and they go do whatever. But then I'm also like, well, I narratively and just practically I feel like after he takes his helmet off he doesn't put his helmet back on, you know? And so, but then it doesn't make sense for them to be doing that and like working together and then afterwards be fighting again at some point, which I mean, I guess I know that happened in The Last Jedi. They worked together for the throne room scene and then they started fighting again by the end of that. And so it could happen, but like, I don't know. And so that shot just has thrown me for a complete loop. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where that shot could take place in the runtime of the film. I just don't know. And so, yeah, first act, I guess, would be like Rey training or whatever on the forest planet and then the desert planet. And then I feel like the water stuff, The Death Star stuff kind of happens in like the second act, maybe, or like towards the middle of the movie. Also, we know now the movie is 2 hours and 35 minutes, making it the longest Star Wars film by 3 minutes, mind you. The Last Jedi was 2 hours and 32 minutes. Um, but I'm happy with this. I'm glad that it's that long. I had guessed a couple months ago and was hoping for 2 hours and 47 minutes. I didn't really think that it would get to be that long. I just kind of wanted it to be. But 2 hours and 35 minutes, it's only 12 minutes shorter. I still think is a really good time. That gives them enough time to do everything that they have to do, I think. But yeah, I don't know about the order of this. And we haven't seen like anything for the Knights of Ren. Like we know the Knights of Ren are in this movie and we haven't seen shit for them in the trailer. I just remembered that shot from the like first trailer that we got of Kylo like mowing people down in that forest. It looks like it's on fire. Where the hell does that? Well, I guess that could maybe be the forest that Rey's training at the beginning, actually, now that I think about it. But, like, that's a dramatic change. I mean, I guess if it's completely engulfed in flames, it would make sense. But that's such a dramatic change in scenery. I don't know. See, this is what I'm talking about. I don't know when things fit together in this movie yet. The trailers have done a really good job. And then we also get Evil Rey at some point, which I know a lot of people, kind of myself included, think that's like a vision of things that are going to happen. But like we got that shot at the end of the D23 footage of like Darkseid Rey. She's in a cloak, like a black cloak, and has the double-bladed like red lightsaber. When the hell does that happen? I don't know. It's then we have scenes with Carrie Fisher between her and Rey, which those take place on the Forest Planet. The one that we've seen does, so I assume that all of them will. So like we have that. The desert sequence with like Poe and Finn and all the other rebels and stuff. We know that's, I would assume, earlier on in the movie. I don't know. There's so many things. Like, I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. Like when things are happening or what the like overall plot is exactly. I mean, obviously like stop Palpatine, but like how and when and where and like, there's so many questions. And then some of the coolest shots that we've seen, we saw it in the D23 footage, all the like Imperial Star Destroyers, the thousands of them. I'm gonna go ahead and say thousands. There's probably only hundreds that you can see on screen right now, but oh my god, there's so many of them, and that's terrifying. And like we get that, and then we saw in this most recent trailer, we get like basically the same shot but with all the like rebel and like good guy ships. I know there's like the Ghost, which is a ship from Rebels that has been spotted there, and a bunch of other ships from like Star Wars lore in general that have been spotted there, which is insane to see. And those look to be taking place at like what I would assume is the climactic fight. So we have like the Rebels versus the Empire or the Resistance versus the First Order, or what? See, that's the other thing. Like, how does the First Order exactly factor into this? Like, what is their role? I mean, we know that Kylo is like supreme leader now, but like, what's he doing? Like, what's their goal? They already destroyed like most of the major planets in the system at the end of in the Force Awakens. So like, what's going on with them? I don't know. There's so many questions, but overall, I'm incredibly hyped about this. I think the trailers have done a fantastic job of showing us enough and not too much, just enough to really get me at least hyped. I know that pre-sale tickets for this film have been bonkers, and like the first night, like last night, they went on sale, and I know they broke Atom ticketing or whatever's their record. It like outsold Endgame in the first hour and like by like 45%, which is a lot. I know it like broke Fandango, I'm pretty sure, and AMC's site. They were like down for a while because they couldn't handle all the traffic. So yeah, this is gonna be pretty insane. I'm trying to think if there's anything else major in the trailer that I wanted to hit on. I know I got the throne thing with Palpatine, and the shots with Kylo and Rey. The scene with 3PO. When they're like, what are you doing, man? And he's like, I'm just taking one last look. He goes, at my friends. Oh, rip out my heart, dude. That's so, I'm gonna immediately start crying in the theater. I almost cry watching that on the trailer, bro. Like, that's, oh, that's such a heart punch right there. He goes, I'm just taking one last look, sir, at my friends. No. No, I'm not ready. Especially with whatever has happened before that in the movie and whatever we know is coming after that in the film. I'm not sobbing on spot, tears going everywhere. Um, that's really cool. Someone also pointed out there's like a battle droid from like the prequels in that in that scene. Um, we get BB-8 rolling into battle, which is pretty crazy. It just like the final fight in this is gonna be insane. It looks so wild. Um, just all the Star Destroyers, all the good guy ships. We have Finn, Poe, and Rose like running across a Star Destroyer. We have it's too epic, really. I don't know. We have the shot of Rey and Kylo in the destroyed throne room of the Death Star. I don't know if that's before they fight or after they fight. I don't know. And it's kind of stressing me out a little bit, but I'm also just so excited. Yeah, the narration that we get too, like I know Poe does some of the narration, and then also Luke a little bit in the trailer, I believe, and then it ends with Leia saying like always, because the final like line is like the Force will be with you, and Leia says always, and like, oh, dude, I just almost started crying right now. Like that's a punch to the heart. Oh man, yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait for this film. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Real, I'll talk about the final shot, kind of the final shot in the movie. Not that I know what it is, but if you hadn't heard this story, a while back, Kevin Smith was like doing an interview, and he talked about visiting the set of Rise of Skywalker or the Rise of Skywalker. Come on, Alex, say the title right. And he talked about it, and he said he visited the set, and he was going around and like looking at all the different stuff they had, and these people kept on coming up to him and be like, oh hey, you have to go to like whatever building, you like there's this set that's just insane, like you've got to check it out, you've got to see it. He said that a bunch of people kept on telling him that, so he was like, okay. So he went and he went to go to like that set, and it was inside this like building, and JJ was like out there, and he was like, hey, like JJ, like everyone's telling me there's this set that I've got to see, it's like in here, it's apparently like super crazy or whatever. I just like, everyone's telling me I got to see this set, so like what's this like set? And he said that JJ like looked at him, and he was like, you don't want to see this. He's like, this is the final shot of the movie, and like I'm telling you, like as a fan and a fellow filmmaker, like you don't want to see this now. You want to wait. You want to see this in theaters. It's gonna blow your mind. Just like trust me. Just wait. And so, oh dude, what? Oh, I don't even know what to think about that. And so like Kevin Smith said that he like didn't look. He was like, I trusted, JJ Abrams, of course, and was like, believed him, but like, dude, what is it? What is the final shot gonna be? Like that's, man, I'm already having like a breakdown, and we're still 2 months out from this film. And yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be good. I'm so excited, so excited for this movie. The final trailer was fantastic. It gave me so much Kylo content just in that trailer. Rey content, Finn, Poe, saw BB-8 go into the battle, Chewie a little bit, C-3PO, R2-D2, Leia. Oh, everyone! It's the end of the Skywalker Saga. It's okay, Alex, calm down. So yeah, I mean, I'm like at 50 minutes right now. I'm closing in on an hour, and my allergies are starting to be terrible again. So I don't know if I can stretch this for another 10 minutes. So I think that in the, man, totally just lost my train of thought there. But in the service of not repeating myself over and over again, and also trying to keep my composure, I guess I'm gonna cut myself there. So yeah, the final trailer for the Rise of Skywalker looks fantastic. Can't wait for that movie to come out so I can do I'll definitely be doing a full episode review of that. It'll probably be like 2 hours, honestly, because there's going to be so much that I want to talk about with that. Before then, though, I'll be doing, like I said, rewatches of the entire Star Wars films. I'm going to be going in order. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, Solo, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'll probably break those into like, I'll do 1, 2, 3 as an episode, probably, and then probably Solo and Rogue One as an episode, and then probably 4, 5, 6 as an episode, and then probably 7 and 8 as another episode. I think that's probably how I'll end up doing that. Not sure, that might change, might make them more, might make it less, I don't know, we'll see how I'm feeling, how much I have to say about each movie after I watch them, but I will be doing that in the coming weeks / month and a half, 2 months, because I'll definitely want to have all those up before the Rise of Skywalker comes out. So there's that. So be sure to subscribe to either my YouTube or Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, whatever you use to listen and or watch this podcast. Be sure to subscribe there so you can be on the lookout for those. Also, all my other plugs for social media and whatnot. Be sure to follow at Comic Book Debate on Twitter. If you don't, check out their website. I have a bunch of articles up there. I do editorials and analysis, mainly for comic books, but also sometimes movies for that website. Be sure to give them a look. They're definitely worth it. Besides me, there's a ton of very talented people that contribute to that website. Lots of great pop culture analysis and editorial content on there, so be sure to check them out. Be sure to follow at Comics Bookcase on Twitter and check out that website at comicsbookcase.com. I contribute there. I do reviews for Justice League, Detective Comics, and Batman. Tommy Gun Wizards, which has actually just been renamed earlier today, actually news broke, it's now Machine Gun Wizards, which is an indie comic that recently started. I reviewed that as well. It's a fantastic series. I do editorials for them also sometimes, so be sure to give them a follow at Comics Bookcase on Twitter. Check them out. There's also a ton of talented people that contribute there. It's another very great website, so if you're interested in all that comic book stuff, be sure to check them out. Besides those two, you can find me on Twitter at Batman Files. If you don't follow me there already, it's my Batman fan account where it's as it sounds, I just post a lot of stuff about Batman all the time. That's the account that I'm the most active on Twitter, really on anything. That's my main go-to account now, so be sure to follow me there at Batman Files for more daily Batman content. You can follow my personal Twitter at APBatman with 2 T's. That's where I talk about everything else besides just Batman. Star Wars is mainly, I talk about Star Wars on there. I talk about fantasy, sci-fi, music, movies, all the other stuff that's not exclusively Batman related. I try to keep to that account. That way there's a bit of a separation there. It's a lot more random, but yeah, you can follow that if you want for just more random thoughts by me. That's at AP Batman with 2 T's. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can also find me there at apb.comics. I've recently gotten kind of bad about posting as consistently on there, but I run that basically how I run my Batman account on Twitter. It's pretty much a Batman account where I post covers, solicits, double page spreads, bat facts, and also news relating to Batman, things of that nature. So if you want to follow me on there for more Batman content on Instagram, you could do that. Very proud of the layout and things that I have on my profile there. I'm trying to get consistent about posting there again. I was really, really good for a while when I kind of like relaunched it with my new layout and graphics that I have on there. So yeah, you can give that a follow if you want. I'm going to be trying again to be more consistent about posting on there. And then, yeah, if you made it this far in the episode, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The feedback on the first 3 episodes has been great. I really do appreciate all the comments that I've gotten. If you have any feedback at all, positive or negative, if there's something you don't like about the podcast, please tell me. I'm wanting to constantly improve, make this better. So yeah, be sure to leave a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast platform you're using to listen to this on. And again, if you would consider subscribing, turning the notifications on, leaving a review, it'd be greatly appreciated, again, on whatever platform you're using. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So thank you again for listening, and be sure to tune in next week. Later.